All right, so we've now figured out the easiest way to go about off of a simple roof pitch to get into the slope, the length of the ridge, projecting that on top to create a roof plan. So the roof plan comes together as does the elevation. I think it's much easier to look at it from an elevation perspective and then a roof pitch perspective than to look at it from the top down. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out, we have this bump out right here, okay, in this area, and which means that this kind of thing happens down in here, and then that ties back into some kind of area up in here, and we don't know where it's at yet. All right. So the first thing I would do, again, everything is perfectly aligned right in here. Okay. The midpoint in this, I don't know if it's the midpoint in this, but what I'm going to do is um, project it forward. And instead of working off of midpoints, what I would rather do is just say, well, let's work off of what we do know, which is we know that this, once we've established a pitch on a hip roof, it's going to be the same all the way around. In other words, this is going to be parallel to this no matter what. And this is going to be parallel to what I'm about to copy from down in here. And place it down here, the end of my fascia board at the corners of my soffits. That's going to be completely parallel, which means that now I've figured out my ridge that goes into here. Okay. I just don't know how far it's going to go, but I do know that that is the correct roof angle, slope, everything else. Okay. So now what I can do is actually trim that out and trim that out. And now I've got a hip going in on here, with the exception of the fact that I don't have it going in on here and here. Okay. So all I'm going to do now is simply copy this because the roof pitch is not changing. And I'm going to copy this because the roof pitch is not changing. I'm going to place it here. Now I just have a little trim work to do. And hopefully if I did everything okay and everything was aligned, this totally corresponds, and it does. Okay. So that's great. Good check and balance that you have. And then by doing that, I can shoot a line way out here into outer space. And I can extend that line way out here into outer space. And I don't know what I'm going to need of that, but what I do know that I need is when I look at the front end of this elevation, from the front, now I'm walking from here around to the right side of the house, and I can see that this is the highest point above this little bumped out family room area. So I know that I need another pitch on the hip. And it goes from here to there. Okay. And so now a piece of cake is just trim everything you don't need. Get rid of it. and we're all good. Again, it looks a little bit goofy because I'm just trimming out the stuff that should not be there. That should not be there. But now, and this doesn't belong either. But I keep these lines going all the way through here, so for reference. So now if I match properties, this starts to look a little bit more normal. Now your house is starting to look like a house. This is the opposite side, right? This is the opposite of this, which means if I did everything right over here, I should just be able to take this and bring it over here with a mirror. But anyhow, that's that. I think I've finished everything. Let me see. Like I have this hip pitch. That's that hip pitch that goes. There's a ridge right there that corresponds to this ridge right here. Kind of. It doesn't really because I forgot one thing. This does not run into, and this is a good place to check yourself. Does this peak correspond to this peak? No, it doesn't. So look up here. This peak is corresponding to this peak, which means that I missed something. And this is a good place to, always go back and look and say, well, what did I miss? Well, what I missed was that belongs there. And that belongs there. Every time we turn a corner, we should have a break. You can see something is a little bit goofed up, and I don't know what it is. Maybe there's a difference in my soffit length or something, like I offset something, but it looks like I'm off by, I don't know, an inch, inch and a half, something else. All of these lines are fine and dandy. So what I'm going to have to do now is go ahead and figure out, well, where did I go wrong? Was it here? Was it here? Something's not quite right, because this right here, if I copied this, should either the midpoint of that ridge should wind up on the midpoint of that ridge. And let's see if it does. And it did not. So what you can see is that this, somehow I must have grabbed a wrong point down here, but that shouldn't make a difference now. So if I put that to there, then that works fine. So always a lot to check on a roof. And a lot of errors that you can make, but this looks completely correct now. And with the exception of these weird things that are sticking out into space. But long video to get to a very simple point, to get to, again, just bumping out this little thing, which started in this area, which ties into this area, to go ahead and not just making it here is pretty quick and just a matter of copying and connecting and everything else. But to go up here, again, second set of things, checks and balances, like you could see that something just did not align. But everything is parallel, and everything's parallel, and it does work. So that's it.